are we from How to Awaken Such Sentiment?
Yes.
Okay. So
Can you summarize yesterday's subject a little?
Yeah. So yesterday we learned how. Can you just take some time to read it over again, or should I just explain?
No, just explain.
Okay. So yesterday we learned how all the Jeeves are attracted to Bhagwan, but due to the world that we live in, we forget that Bhagwan is the only desire, and it's our duty to go back to him. But unfortunately, due to the environment that we're grown up in, we don't realize that, and that's the reason many people are the cycle of birth and death, and they do different things to gain get closer to Bhagwan, find happiness, but the all the things are temporary, and the only true bliss is concealed in Krishna, and it's our as jeeves that Bhagwan has created, it's our duty to do his worship. So essentially our purpose on this earth is to do Thakurji's devotion.
Yeah. Now you can continue.
Okay, so how to awaken such sentiment. Ultimately, it is his grace that determines the move of Bhagwan, of the being. However, those who are blessed by Bhagwan must do some effort to cultivate that grace. That is called Leela. To facilitate poor players of Leela, Scripture gives valuable guidance as under by following which beings can go near to Bhagwan. Number 1, comprehensive knowledge of Bhagwan. 2, knowledge of self. 3, knowledge of the relationship between Bhagwan and the being. These 3 are the 3 chief main means to awaken devotional sentiment in the heart of the blessed beings. In order to achieve above knowledge, one should seek company of the devotees and preceptors of the sect. The seeker should devote himself to the scripture, study of Bhagwan, Bhagavad Gita, Puran, and other scriptures through their help. So this is essentially saying it's our duty to essentially do Thakurji Seva, but most people don't know this is it true. So you need to awaken the sentiment in order to get closer to Bhagwan. So they give 3 different ways you can do this. The first one is having knowledge of Bhagwan. The second one is knowing your relationship between Bhagwan and the Jeev, and the third one is having knowledge about yourself and your relation with Bhagwan. And these are the 3 main things you should know about, and you should also do other things to help facilitate this by reading scriptures the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad Puran, and other scriptures that are created by Mahaprabhuji or the Vedas.
As we learned before, that we are created by Bhagwan, we are a part of Bhagwan, which is away from Bhagwan. So we have a natural relation with Bhagwan. We don't need to establish any relation, any new relation. But the problem is that we don't remember that relation, we don't feel that relation. The reason is that because of the wish of Bhagwan, we have a layer of Maya on our soul, and therefore soul doesn't identify itself as a part of Bhagwan. It forgets that, and soul starts identifying that body is my real form, the sensory organs are my real form, and all the materials are related to me. And if the body is sad, in sorrow or in pain, the soul starts feeling that I am sad. If the body is happy, the soul feels that I am happy. If body demands anything, the soul feels that these are my demands which I want to fulfill. So soul doesn't understand or identify itself different from the body, and therefore the soul doesn't remember its relation with Bhagwan, and therefore we don't realize that our physical needs are different and our spiritual and divine needs are different. So the soul has the hidden sentiment of performing devotion of Bhagavan, but on the main phase, the soul always feels that whatever the demands our body has, these are my demands and I want to fulfill it. So we don't feel the relation between us and Bhagavan, and we start forgetting. Actually, we do forget that we are a part of Bhagavan. So now the question arises is that how to awaken such sentiment? Means being a part of Bhagavan, I want to perform devotion of Bhagavan, my physical and divine needs are different. So how to understand these sentiments and how to identify them? So here it explains that Bhagavan's grace is what that determines the move of the being. So whenever Bhagavan wants us to reach near him, whenever Bhagavan wants us to realize our needs and the form of our soul, we start understanding that. And Bhagavan has already chosen the beings whom he wants to provide the result of devotion, the fall of devotion. So we have, as we are chosen as Pushti beings, we have the seed of devotion in our soul, but again we need to grow that seed. Now what are the modes of growing that seed, or how can we understand that? So the three things which are explained here is the comprehensive knowledge of Bhagavan, which we can achieve by reading Gita, Bhagavat and the Granth which are written by Sri Mahaprabhuji, so that we understand the divine form of Bhagavan. First of all, we develop the feeling of respect towards Bhagavan, and later on it turns into the sentiments of love, which is known as devotion. Second requirement is to understand the form of our own soul. How are we created? What is our real form? We are not a body. Body is not our real identity, and therefore the physical demands are not the demands which we have to concentrate upon, but we have to prioritize the needs of our soul. So this is only possible if we understand the difference between body and soul clearly. And the third thing is the knowledge of the relation between Bhagavan and being. So we must be aware about our relation, and therefore only after knowing that relation we start feeling that this is our natural requirement to be near Bhagavan. So these are the three methods by which we can awaken devotional sentiment in our heart. And in order to achieve above knowledge, we must seek the company of the devotees and preceptors of the sect. As we have Mahaprabhuji, as we have our elders or the Guru, etc., who can teach us, who can make us realize this. And seeker, the one who wants to attain these sentiments, who wants to understand these things, he must concentrate upon reading Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad Puran and the scriptures written by Sri Mahaprabhuji, which can awaken the sentiment, which can provide us this knowledge in very strong words. And therefore, by reading this continuously, by being in the company of a good guru and the elder Vaishnavas, we can awaken the sentiment in our heart. Basically, these are the methods by which we can awaken or grow the seed of devotion which is in our heart. We are chosen by Bhagavan for his devotion, but we no longer realize that, we no longer remember that. So with the blessings of Bhagavan, we can understand it properly. And so that if we want to grow that seed, we must go through the three methods which are explained here, and by this we can identify our relationship with Bhagavan. Do we have any questions? Okay, you can read ahead.
Okay. Knowledge of Bhagwan. Shri Krishna is the father of the universe. He is the origin of all the animate and beings and inanimate objects. Shri Krishna looks after the nourishment of all beings. Nothing can happen in this world without his will. Gods, demons, human beings, as well as insentient things are for Bhagwan mere toys to play with. This Swarup of Bhagwan should be mediated good company in the study of devotional scriptures. One should think that the Bhagwan has made the world for his own bliss, sport, and play, and the being is a mere toy, an instrument for Bhagwan's play. The player can enjoy the game if the instruments of the game are suitable for the game. Similarly, the beings too should remain devoted to Bhagwan for his pleasure. One should keep deep faith, discrimination, and patience in Bhagwan, as shown by Sri Vallabhacharya in his treatise Vivek Dhairyashray. So this is essentially saying that we should have knowledge of Bhagwan as because he is the father of the universe and he's the creator of everything in it, and without his will nothing can happen. So we should have a feeling that whatever has happened is good for us, and we're essentially just playing in his kind of a playground. And so in addition to this, we should have as a result of this, we should be devoted to Krishna and only Krishna.
The first step, as we understood the 3 steps, first one is the comprehensive knowledge of Bhagwan. So what does it mean by knowledge of Bhagwan? Is that we must be aware about the divine form of Bhagwan, who Krishna is. So this is the knowledge which we must achieve on the first step. So the Krishna is the father of the universe. He is the origin of all the animate and inanimate objects. Bhagwan has created us, and he is the supreme one among all the gods, demons, and human beings, and whatever is being created in this universe. And everything is happening with the wish of Bhagwan. Nothing can happen without the wish of Bhagwan. So Bhagwan has made this world for his enjoyment, and all of us are a part of that play, like at toys. And Bhagwan, however Bhagwan wants us to move, we start moving accordingly for the enjoyment of Bhagwan. So so the player can, if we want to be a part of the game and enjoy the game, we must be aware that Bhagwan has created this universe and we are instruments of the game. So if we understand this, we can enjoy that play with Bhagwan, and we don't feel that we can understand all the conditions as same. Means if we are in happiness, if we have some sorrowful conditions in our life, we can consider all those situations equally, and we can feel that everything is a part of Bhagwan's Leela. So we not need to be worried about whatever the happenings are. So we must keep deep faith in Bhagwan, discrimination and patience in Bhagwan, as Mahaprabhuji explains in Vivek Dhairyashray. So Mahaprabhu there explains that Hari sarvam nijechatah karishyati iti vivekah. This means that Bhagwan will do everything with his own wish. So if we have this strong feeling and sentiment in our heart, we can accept each and everything happening in our life as the wish of Bhagwan, and we can understand the divine form of Bhagwan and his involvement in our life and in all the happenings in this universe. So by this understanding of the form of Bhagwan, the divine form of Bhagwan, we can have respect towards Bhagwan. We can consider him as the supreme reality in this universe. We can know the person, we can know Bhagwan to whom we want to devote ourselves, or to whom Mahaprabhuji explains us to devote. So knowing the divine form of Bhagavan is the first step. The second step is the knowledge of our own self, of our soul, of our Atma. Yeah, continue.
Knowledge of the self. Bhagwan has created beings from his own self. Hence, Bhagwan is like a father of the beings, and beings are like his children. Beings are therefore called particles of Bhagwan, separated from Bhagwan and wrapped by ignorance. These beings have lost the knowledge of Bhagwan, the knowledge of their own self, of their relation with Bhagwan, and of their duties. Consequently, beings are engaged in I and mine, and have fallen down from the sacred duty of performing Bhagwan's service. In order to recover from such worldly situation, beings should obtain the knowledge of their oneself through good company and through the study of devotional scriptures, and think that, just as parents take loving care of their children, they bring up and nourish them and make them self-supporting, loving Bhagwan too has endowed beings with senses of knowledge like eyes, nose, etc., senses of action like hands, legs, etc., and mind and intellect, and has made them self-reliant. As when children grow up and become self-reliant, they take care of their parents and serve them with love and gratitude. Similarly, it is the foremost duty of a being to perform service of Bhagwan with whatever devout sentiment he may have in mind toward his Supreme Father. So this talks about the second step in awakening sentiment, and that's having knowledge as Bhagwan has created the different jivs, also known as uns, and we're separated from Bhagwan, and we have forgotten that he is the greatest, and that we are we have to perform his duties, and also that we have to do his service, and in order to pay him back, we have to like I said, we have to do his service.
So secondly, we must understand the form of our soul, who we are, and for what we are created, the purpose of our creation. So as we understand that Bhagavan has created the whole universe for his Leela, for his enjoyment as a play, same way we are also a part of the play. So the universe is the playground, and all the souls, the animate beings, are the players. So Bhagavan is like a father for us, and we are his children, and therefore we are known as Ansha, the particles of Bhagavan, who are separated from Bhagavan and are gripped by ignorance. So we have lost the knowledge of Bhagavan, we don't realize our relation with Bhagavan, and we don't even remember the same. So because of that ignorance created by Maya, we are engaged in I-ness and mine-ness, and have fallen down from our sacred duty of performing Bhagavan's service. So as it is a natural duty of the children to serve their parents, same way it is our natural duty to serve Bhagavan. There is nothing new about this. But some realize this and some don't. So the one who realize this, or Bhagavan wants whom to realize the same, are known as Pushti beings. And we are those Pushti beings. So when we start understanding our form, the purpose of our creation, as Mahaprabhuji explains, that Bhagavad Rupa Sevartham Tat Srishtihi Nanyatha Bhavet, means this, the creation of Pushti beings is only for the service of Bhagavan, for the seva of Bhagavan. So this is the purpose for which we are created, and therefore if we are created with this purpose, we must serve Bhagavan. So when we, as it is explained here with the example of a child, that when we grow up and become self-reliant, we take care of our parents and serve them with the feeling of love and gratitude towards them. So similarly, it is our duty to perform service of Bhagavan with whatever sentiments we have in our mind towards our towards the Bhagwan. So it is our duty, and being a Pushti Jeev, as we are chosen for performing service of Bhagwan, it is our foremost duty. And therefore, at the level of maturity, when we realize this, we must prioritize the Krishna Seva and must involve ourselves in the Seva of Bhagwan.
Raja,
Yes.
I want to ask one question, like it's
Yes.
from last class, but I want to ask that the devotee, like who is from other sampradaya and following like other sampraday's method. So if that devotee who is who is performing devotion towards Bhagwan without any expectation, it's like with unconditional love towards Bhagwan. So those devotees, like where would they fall? Like means like would they fall in Pushtibhakti Marg? Pushti, like would they get like same Pushtibhakti Margya fruit? Like fruit that explained like in our scriptures, like Seva Upyogi, would they get one?
Yes, they will. See, being in a Pushti Bhakti Marg and being in Pushti Bhakti Sampradaya are two different things. The Marg is like a highway and Sampradaya is like a straight road. So anyone can be a Pushti Bhakti Margi even if he is not a disciple of Sri Mahaprabhuji. But being in a Pushti Bhakti Sampradaya would mean that you are a disciple of Sri Mahaprabhuji.
Okay, so they will get that fruit that explained in our like Pushti Bhakti Margya,
Yes.
Okay.
But see, be very clear that if I am having sentiments of unconditional love towards Bhagwan, but I am a part of a particular sampradaya in which we are expecting salvation as the result of devotion, even then you will be distracted from your result, because you have chosen a wrong way. You are right, but you have chosen a wrong way. So even that matters. It just doesn't rely upon my personal sentiments if I am a part of any other sampradaya. I am related to that sampradaya, so both the sentiments will be counted, not only the one which I am having in my heart. So being on a right way, having right sentiments, but being on the wrong path, even that matters when we consider the results. So the choice must be, even the choice must be right. We must choose a right path for us by understanding all the principles of that particular path.
Ji Raja.
Fine. Continue.
Yeah, so I just had another question. So like if Pushti Jeevs can only do Seva of Thakurji, right? So would a Pushti Jeev be able to do devotion of Krishna every lifetime, or would they do it based on what Bhagwan chooses for them?
However, whatever time Bhagavan decides for them. It is considered known as a sadhana varan. The one is Jiva varan, the second one is sadhana varan. Jiva varan means that during the creation, Bhagavan had chosen us as Pushti beings for providing his devotion. Sadhana varan means that in which birth Bhagavan wants us to realize our identity as a Pushti being and start performing Krishna's service, even in the life and even in the years. So we are born in a Vaishnava family, so we have that environment around us, but there are some people who don't have that environment but realize this with some or the other medium later on in their age. So everything depends upon the wish of Bhagavan. At whatever time Bhagavan decides us that we must attain the devotion of Bhagwan and realize our identity, we start feeling the same. And how much ever time Bhagwan decides for us for accomplishing or completing our sadhana and attaining the phal, even that is decided by Bhagwan. So it is not compulsory that we will attain it at the end of our life. It is quite possible that we attain in the middle way, and after attaining the stage of phalavastha, or in which Bhagwan is pratyaksh to us, Bhagwan starts, as we find in the story of 84 Vaishnavas, that Bhagwan is expressing his demands towards the devotee. He is talking to that person, he is sharing his sentiments with the devotee. So at that stage we are already salvated according to the path of devotion. Now only our body is remaining, and it may die or it may stay. The devotee is not at all careful about that. He doesn't even care what is happening. Whatever we need is to achieve we need to take our devotion to the level of phal. This is what we want is. After that, even if we are on the earth, it doesn't make any difference. And even if we leave this universe and go to the Vaikuntha, to the place of the abode of Bhagwan, even that doesn't make any difference. The devotee would want Bhagwan. It doesn't matter where. So we are not actually that very serious about our departure from this universe. Because even here I have Krishna with me, and even in the Vaikuntha I will have Krishna with me.
Okay, yeah.
So the conditions, so what I mean is that these conditions actually doesn't matter much for a devotee. That if he is out of this universe or he is in this universe.
Okay.
Yeah. You can go ahead. Yes.
Raja, yesterday I was explaining about Sattvic, Rajas and Tamas, Pushti as well. Like Sri Mahaprabhuji has always explaining Nirgun Pushtibhakti Marg, but we do have Sattvic, Pushtibhakti Marg, Rajas and Tamas as well. So all three of them, they have.
Don't give it the name of Pushti Bhakti Marg, only Bhakti Marg. Rajas, Tamas, Sattvic, Nirguna Bhakti Marg.
Ji, Raja. So the Tamas Bhakti Marg, so Rajas, Sattvic and Tamas Bhakti Marg, there they have the same determination, like they also don't want any salvation and all that, and they just want the Bhagwan as phal, or their wish will be different?
No, they have different sentiments. We even have philosophical differences, and same way the differences in the mode of devotion also. As in Ramanuja Sampradaya, they expect the result of salvation at the end of their devotion, and even the method of their devotion is from the Vaishnavagam Tantra, in which we have the restrictions of Varana. Only the Brahmins and Kshatriya and Vaishya, the one with Yagyopavit, are allowed to do the puja as per the tantric methods, and the Stri and Shudra, the females and the people from the Shudra Varna, they are told to just be in the company of the devotees and have independent methods of devotion, and not the puja of explained by the Tantra Marg. Same way, even the philosophical differences matters, in which they consider the universe and the beings to be different from Bhagavan. So because of these things, Mahaprabhuji has titled them as Rajas Bhakti Margi and Tamas Bhakti Margi. Even the philosophical understanding matters, because it creates the sentiment and the relation between us and Bhagavan, and the method of devotion is also different. They are expecting salvation as the result of devotion.
All three of them except the Sattvic Bhakti Marg as well?
See, about the Vishnu Swami Sampradaya, we don't have much knowledge and we don't even have the scriptures available. But Mahaprabhuji identify himself as Mahaprabhuji's ancestors, and the family identify itself as the follower of Vishnu Swami Sampradaya. And even Mahaprabhuji identifies and expresses himself as the Vishnu Swami Matanuvarti, the one who is following the mat of Vishnu Swami. And then Mahaprabhuji established the Pushtibhakti Sampradaya as an independent Sampradaya. So we are not much aware about the principles of that Sampradaya, but if Mahaprabhuji is identifying himself as Vishnu Swami, as the follower of Vishnu Swami Sampradaya, and even though he is establishing the different path of Pushtibhakti Sampradaya, then we can understand that there has to be some difference between these two paths.
Ji Raja.
But we don't find any scriptures in the name of Vishnu Swami Sampradaya. So we are not aware about that much. But if Mahaprabhuji has established a different Sampradaya, it means that there has to be some difference between the principles. If both of them had to be the same, then Mahaprabhuji wouldn't have established a different Sampradaya. Possibly the varieties of Maryada Bhakti. And Maryada Bhakta attains Sayujya in Krishna.
Okay, so the Sattvic Vishnu Sampradaya, Apshri explained that they also want the salvation as the Maryada Bhakti, and the Ramana. Sorry?
We are not aware about the principles because we don't find any scriptures on the name of Vishnu Swami Sampradaya. But if Mahaprabhuji has established the different Sampradaya, being a follower of Vishnu Swami Sampradaya is Pushtibhakti Sampradaya, then it means that there has to be some difference between the principles of these two Sampradaya. Otherwise, Mahaprabhuji wouldn't have established a new Sampradaya and would have continued in the parampara of Vishnu Swami Sampradaya only. But as we don't find any scriptures, we are not very clear about the principles of that Sampradaya. But we can surely assume that there has to be some difference between the principles. Otherwise, it was useless to establish a new Sampradaya, being a follower of that particular Sampradaya. And therefore, I assume that it has to be a variety of Maryada Bhakti only and not Pushti Bhakti.
Pushti Bhakti, okay. But the Ramanus and the other one, we surely can say that they are the Maryada Bhakti.
Yeah, 100%. And Mahaprabhuji himself has titled them as Tamas and Rajas Bhakti Marg, Vishnu Swami as Sattvic. So obviously there is the mode of Maryada Bhakti in those two Sampradayas.
Then what is the difference will be there, like for the Maryada Marg and the Maryada Bhakti Marg?
So Maryada Marg is follower of Karma Marg and Gyan Marg. Maryada Bhakti Marg would mean that you have the sentiment of devotion. You are a Bhakti Margi, but the nature of Bhakti is with Maryada. The modes of devotion explained in the Agama Tantra are the varieties of Maryada Marg only. Maryada Bhakti Marg.
Ji Raja, I understand. So the same sentiments as Arjun has, like Arjun was Maryada, but then Pushti was mixed.
Yes.
Ji Raja.
Fine, so let us conclude here today. If we have more questions, we'll be continuing with them tomorrow.
Dandavat Pranam Raja.
Dandavat Pranam Raja.